Excited to talk to my next guest here, Mr. Mike North. He's the NFL VP of broadcast planning, and every time I see Mike, it's usually
this time of year.
Not this time of year. No. Mike's at all the big events, right? And when he's at the big events, he's always got the earpiece in. He's always conducting traffic. He's manning traffic. He's moving people out of the way. Hey, get the stage set up. Hold on, 5 seconds. Oh, we got 2 minutes. Hold on. All right,
he's moving. He's constantly moving.
He's working, man, and it's finally. Yeah, he's always a busy guy, but he's even more busy when the schedule gets released. And so I do ask you, as I start right here, Mike, is how many texts and phone calls and emails do you get right before the schedule was released as people are just cramming? They want the schedule. How many calls and texts do you get right before?
Yeah, I'm popular for days. But then I go right back in my hole. It's Groundhog's Day. They take me out of my hole. They parade me around for a couple of days, and then they put me in my hole, and I'll see you next spring. But no, very lucky, very grateful, appreciative, humble. It's amazing to be part of this process, and the fact that everybody cares so much is a testament to the power of the league and the power of the game, and to get to play a small role, and it's awesome, and I'd love to talk about it, so thanks for having me on.
No, always, Mike. I appreciate it because I think people think that just putting a schedule together is pretty easy, and it's not. I know how difficult it is, and you've actually been able to invite more people in to see what the process even looks like and what you have to go through. I'll start with this. What was the biggest challenge for 2026? What's the biggest challenge in putting this schedule together than maybe in past years?
Yeah, part of it, honestly, is that everybody's gotten smarter. We were lucky for decades sitting in that room back there with Val Pinchbeck, hanging the tags on the board one at a time. And we were lucky to get a schedule done. And nobody expected anything more from us, quite honestly. They were like, oh, good, we can play a season. Let's go. Now, stakes are higher. There's 100 billion reasons why we need to do a good job here. And there's stadium availability, player health and safety, weather, travel, rest disparity, bye weeks, 9 international games, a Wednesday night game before Thanksgiving. Yeah. Thanksgiving and Christmas have turned into a thing. This isn't getting any easier. Everybody's getting smarter, and it's never going to get any easier. We know that, but take it as a challenge. Grateful for the opportunity. This year was unique like the others, but I think we landed in a really good spot.
Yeah, people don't realize that a lot of the stadiums and venues, they tend to stay open, but there are events that are already booked. What comes into account, especially this year with the World Cup happening pretty soon and venues having to put themselves back into NFL shape? Did that have anything or any challenges for the NFL season?
That's going to impact the preseason more than the regular season. As you can imagine, the World Cup will be done by mid-July, I guess, and they'll figure out what they're going to do with the seating configurations and the turf and the locker rooms and everything. There was a couple of venues that said, hey, we could use an extra week, maybe put us on the road week 1 of the preseason just to make sure we're ready for week 2. But regular season shouldn't be impacted by that. It's the usual stuff. We use these buildings 10 times a year. That's an awful lot of days when these, big, beautiful buildings that sometimes cost a lot of taxpayer money should be used for something else. And occasionally those events wander into the fall. And so no team ever wants to say to their coach or general manager, hey, we had to put ourselves on the road a couple of weeks in a row, or lack of early season home primetime games because we had to block the building for a rock concert. So it's a fine line to tread. Everybody handles it a little bit differently. Again, when we were building the schedule by hand, I don't even think we could have taken those things under consideration. Now, the software, the hardware, our tech partners, the strategy, the optimization, the heuristics, all the work that goes into finding the best solution to this puzzle, we can accommodate it for the most part. So if there's an event that needs to happen or a team needs to be out of their building for whatever reason, we can usually accommodate it without, destroying their season.
NFL VP of Broadcast Planning Mike North joining the Rich Eisen Show. And now you mentioned it, we do have different platforms in which to watch football. It isn't just your traditional CBS and Fox. It's ESPN, it's Peacock, it's NBC, it's Netflix. It is now, Amazon Prime. And so how do you handle that part of putting games into those specific, not just time slots, but also the different streaming for the NFL year in and year out?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, these streaming partners are obviously strategically important to the league. It's not so much, oh, how do we make more money? It's really about how do we get the games where the fans are ingesting their content. And, there's a lot of talk, obviously, about, more games on streamers. But this year, we got the 4 games back from ESPN. We had that Monday night side-by-side or the doubleheader the last couple of years. I still don't understand how we lost containment on that. Everybody hated it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good idea. But taking those games back now, how do you use them? Yeah, a couple of them went to Netflix, but a couple of them went to broadcast also. An extra game for NBC, an extra game for Fox. So it's not like we're taking all our games off broadcast television. Broadcast television's been very good to the National Football League. There's a reach that's still unduplicated by the streaming partners, but you're starting to see an Amazon game get up to broadcast television level viewership numbers. That 30 million for the wild card game last year, that's as much as any broadcast network had ever done on a Saturday night, a wild card. You see Netflix on Christmas doing 28 million. That's what broadcast partners do. So the fans are there. They vote with their remotes. They tell us where they want to get their content. And, everybody's got Netflix. Everybody watches Stranger Things. Everybody's got Amazon Prime. We all need paper towels. Like we're going to where the fans are, and we're ensuring that the biggest games are in the biggest windows. Yeah, launching a couple new ones Wednesday night before Thanksgiving will be interesting. Never tried that before, and we'll see what it's like. The fans will tell us how it works, and one way to build a foothold in any window is to put a pretty good game there. So a good game like Packers-Rams on Wednesday night, a good game like Niners-Rams in Melbourne, a good game on Christmas like Seattle-San Francisco on Fox. Like it's all about trying to make sure that the biggest games are in windows where the fans can find them.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I always love the people who are out with their pitchforks and yet you have all the data in front of you, right? It's like, oh, why is this? Why is that? NFL does. I'm like, the data shows you. People are watching. People always say they're going to turn it off, and yet they still someone's watching, right?
It's a compelling product, right? I mean, it's the best thing on television, and one could make an argument it's like the one thing that traditional linear television is even utilized for anymore. And obviously sensitive, obviously cognizant, but to your point, the data supports the fact that what we're doing seems to be working. Most watched season in whatever it was, 15 years last year, and still more Sunday ticket subscribers than ever before. So the fans know they can watch any game they want with the right product. I think it's working.
Yeah, and obviously I have to kind of pivot to, my folks behind me in Raider Nation who say, well, the Raiders and the offseason that they've had and drafting of the number 1 overall pick and Fernando Mendoza and just, new head coach, there's a lot of good juice and that's flowing through the Raiders facility, and yet no primetime games. And, how does the league handle that part of it of 0 primetime games for people would say a big time franchise in the Raiders?
Yeah, look, none of us know when or if Mendoza's going to see the field this year. Obviously, Kirk Cousins is a competent, quality quarterback in this league. He may well have them relevant. The good news about the way our product is distributed is you don't necessarily have to be on prime time to be on a lot of television screens, right?
Correct.
Yes, you didn't get a lot of primes. Okay, so you're on Sunday afternoons a lot. There's still 30 million people watching NFL football at 1 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday, and hopefully 35 or 40 million people watching at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. These teams have every opportunity to play themselves into bigger windows. We always say you play your way into prime time. You don't draft your way into prime time. You don't fire your coach into prime time. You play your way into prime time. And look, if the Raiders have a, better than we thought, unexpected season, that's what flexible scheduling is for down the stretch. Those last 5-6 weeks of the season, if they're having a good year, it's probably because Denver or the Chargers are not. And so if they're relevant, we'll find a way to get their games on national television down the stretch so that when they are playing playoff football in January, that's not the first time our fans are going to get to see a Raiders game.
NFL VP of Broadcast Planning, Mike North, joining us. A couple more minutes here. And a record-tying 7 primetime standalone games for the team here in Los Angeles, the Rams. And kind of what's the thought process behind the Rams and what they're doing? They didn't make the Super Bowl last year. They aren't coming off of a Super Bowl, but yet it feels like they are a big draw for the NFL.
Yeah, they are. I mean, look, they didn't make the Super Bowl, but they're a perennial playoff team. They have the league MVP, superstars on both sides of the ball. They've earned it, right? We say we play your way into prime time. They've earned it. And plus, you see the graphic up on the screen. What a schedule. What a schedule.
Oh yeah,
Kansas
that's a
City,
monster.
Green Bay, a couple of San Frans, a Dallas. Like, what are we supposed to do with those games? A Buffalo, a Philly. Those games have to find their way
Yeah.
into big national windows. Those are the ones that the fans care about, and we're not doing our jobs if we bury them at 1 o'clock. Like, if I have a regret, if there is such a thing, that Rams Eagles games that you just flapped up there.
Yeah.
Sunday at 1 o'clock, we couldn't even find a primetime home for an Eagles Rams game. Like, that's an embarrassment of riches. So they've earned it. And to their credit,
Yeah.
they were eager. They definitely shot their hand up when we started talking about Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. They thought it would be a real fun event for them in that market. Fans turning out. Nobody's going to work the next day. Nobody's going to school the next day. Wednesday night before Thanksgiving is not a traditional television night. We may change that with games like this on Netflix.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. Before, that was just the night that you hung out with all your high school buddies and college friends who are back at home. And
still can.
And now, guess what? You can still do it. We just go to the bar and go watch a football game. Or, hey, everybody come to my house and we go watch some football. Mike, the process of the schedule, when does it start? And when does it end? Like, how much does a draft play into it? How much does free agency play into it? Like, at what? Because we already know the games. That's the easy part. But when does it actually start to take place or take shape, the schedule?
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you we're already starting to look at 2027.
I was going to ask that, but I was like, wait, it can't be starting on 27 just yet.
Yeah, we're getting even more international games. Probably going to get to 10 next year.
Okay.
And already know, 14 of the 17 games for each of the teams. So what's the rotation next year? It's the AFC East against the NFC East. Ooh, that could be fun. The NFC North plays both the NFC West and the AFC West. That could be spicy. Trying to already anticipate what we might be solving for next year. But as far as this year goes, it starts in earnest the day after the regular season ends. That's when the last, whatever that is, 48 games, standings-based games. So you need those last 3 games. And then once you know the 272, we get started. We reach out to the clubs. What do we need to know? Are you looking for international? Do you have stadium availability issues? Tell us what we did wrong last year. They're not shy. They remind us. What do we owe you in terms of a home opener or a later bye or anything like that? So we get started really day after the regular season. The final piece of the puzzle is the Super Bowl champion, because now we know who's hosting that opening kickoff game on NBC.
Yep.
And then we go, kind of lock the doors, and off we go. The computer's spinning nonstop, 24/7 for 14 weeks, checkpointing with the commissioner along the way. If we hit him with something right at the end that surprises him, we did not do a good job managing that. So hopefully he's not surprised by anything down the stretch, and he's given us his feedback. I'll give you a good example. We showed him a schedule at one point that had Atlanta, New Orleans on the Monday night slate and had it in Atlanta. And he said, "You dummies, put it in New Orleans. It's the 20th anniversary of the Superdome reopening."
Yeah.
Oh, of course. So he's, not a mile wide, an inch deep. He's a mile wide and 10 miles deep on everything, including the schedule. And he sees everyone down the stretch. We met with him every day, and we did not get his blessing until Tuesday when he finally said, "Yep, that's the one. Let's go."
Look, a couple more questions for you, Mike. What went into the last game of the 2025 season being the first game of the 2026 season?
Yeah, look, those are 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl. They're obviously good teams. They've earned it. I recognize the off-field drama, but we're focused on the field. And you think about a Super Bowl rematch, remember last year that Philly-KC Super Bowl rematch, I think it was in week 2.
Right.
And it did 32 million viewers on a Sunday afternoon on Fox. Like, a Super Bowl rematch in the first couple of weeks is a Super Bowl rematch.
Correct.
Once you get to week 6, 7, 8, nobody's looking back at February. Everybody's looking forward to, this February. So if you're going to take advantage of the fact that it's a Super Bowl rematch, it's got to be kind of early. And look, there were other good options. The Giants would have worked. Chicago would have worked. Kansas City would have been interesting if we knew for certain Mahomes was coming back. Right. There were plenty of good options, but no hesitation to pick up with a Super Bowl rematch. It's a game that's going to mean a lot in week 1 and probably never more so than in week 1.
My last question before I let you go, Mike, is the year of Disney, the Super Bowl on ESPN and the ESPN family of networks, especially with Disney. How does that all play into this schedule, and what more should we see throughout the years? The NFL takes its talents, its Super Bowl, to ESPN.
Yeah, look, they bring a promotional machinery that nobody else brings when you think about all the television programming and also all the Disney assets, whether it's Mickey and Minnie or it's now The Simpsons, Star Wars, whatever else they have. They have already started, as you guys know, banging the drum. I mean, it's going to be the biggest Super Bowl ever. Some of that's going to be driven, of course, by the teams in the game and, the competitiveness of the game. But yeah, I think you look at the Monday Night Football schedule, and I think it reflects not so much that they've got the Super Bowl, but, when you take away those Monday night side-by-sides, now they've got this opportunity to take some of those Monday night games on ESPN and simulcast them on ABC.
Yeah.
So now you're talking about 2 broadcast homes between ESPN and ABC. Those numbers are going to be significant. And that's why I think you see us putting, maybe better matchups than they certainly would have expected over the last couple of years, and maybe some fans as well. But, you take a game like Dallas-Philly, arguably, a top 2, top 3 game of the season, and put it on Monday Night Football simulcast on ABC. That's a message. That's a signal. And they deserve it. They earn it. It'll be fun to watch them build all season long towards a Super Bowl. Not to forget that they've got, a wild card game, a divisional game. They're in this from, day one till the very end. And it's going to be fun to see how they bang the drum all season long, bring out all the promotional platforms and bring all their assets to bear. Plus, don't forget, Super Bowl's on President's Day weekend this year. So nobody's going to work on Monday. Nobody's going to school. We got a nice 3-day weekend for the Super Bowl. Call it a national holiday like it deserves.
An embarrassment of riches, Mike.
Indeed,
Mike
we're
North.
very lucky. Hey, before I let you go,
yeah, what's up, man?
Let me ask you, because I think I asked you this before, and I think I got 2 different answers. What did you look for when the schedule came out? Like, where does your eye go? Does it go to primetime games? Does it go to weather? Does it go to the bye week? What is it that you used to look for?
Mike, you already know. When is my bye week? That's all I care about. When's the bye? That's the one week that you can guarantee it's some time off to just get away from football, be with family. I always wanted to know where I was at in the months of December and January, because that's when the weather changed, cold weather. Yeah, and one time you stuck me going to Cleveland in December, and I remember that. I blame you, Mike. Hey, December in Cleveland, that's a different cold.
It is, but you know what? That's the competitive advantage that the Browns have, and I'm sure they acknowledge, asking the fans to come out when they're not competitive is one thing, but when they are competitive, that's their competitive advantage. Same thing with the Florida teams in September. You have to balance this, fan friendliness, convenience, whatever aspect with, hey, we're trying to win a Super Bowl here, and you don't want to rob those teams of those advantages. It's a narrow needle to thread. And I'm always curious what everybody looks for. And ask 10 people, you get 10 answers.
Oh, you get 10 answers. And I think my last thing to that, too, is when the primetime games come out, trust me, the ticket requests come out as well.
There you go.
Nobody wants to, everybody, they'll watch the 1 p.m. Eastern kicks, but man, wait, Monday night? Cowboys last year? Cowboys Raiders last year at Allegiant, my phone wouldn't stop ringing, okay? So I could blame you again, but I love you.
And you can blame me, but you can also call me. I can help you get tickets. All right?
Hey, Mike, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for the time. Always good to see you, man. And best of get some rest. How about that?
Vacations in order for Mike.
That's
Appreciate
Mike.
it, guys. Take care.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.